am serious. Always serious. What's going on, everybody? My name is Brian Morrison. I'm a software developer based out of Chicago, Illinois, and I do the streaming thing every once in a while. So last week, if you were joining along with us, I just got an echo. If you were joining along with us, we were working on building profiles for fullstack.chat, which is my Discord community. So we kind of got the authentication flow down, and today we're going to kind of try and put the rest of the pieces together and get this thing deployed out. I see Charles in the chat. Thanks for joining today. Appreciate it. Cool. Let's just get into it, and I guess I'll start by firing up the app. Hold on one sec here. Yeah, we'll start by firing up the app, and we're going to see what this thing looks like. So I'm using Netlify. Let's pull up Netlify Dev. I've got everything. I've got some. I ended up from last week. I ended up putting the secret stuff inside of environment variables, which if you use a Netlify Dev, it pulls those in from the public. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if all this stuff's going to work. I haven't really tested it since I did that. So let's try this first. So if I go to localhost 8080, which is I think where the site is. Yeah, let's go to /me, which should be the profile. You can see we have some information here. I'm guessing my token is probably still in, or the token for the user I was working with is still in here. Actually, you know what? No, this is fake data, so this isn't even being pulled in correctly. I'm seeing I got an error on the mounted hook. Okay, so it looks like we got some core stuff to figure out. Let me see where this is being pointed to. We're looking at 8888, and let me check to see if I have any tokens in here. No token, so it looks like we have to log in. Now, it's been about a week since I've looked at this before, so I have to figure out how to log in. Yeah, I'm getting a 401 unauthorized from Discord, so that's fine. We're not logged in. We don't have a token, so it didn't send anything across. Let's see if we could fix that real quick. So, the first thing we're going to need to... Oh, before I even get started, this is kind of my checklist for the thing. So we're using FaunaDB to store data, which is like it's kind of a NoSQL kind of storage service. They originally had a really free tier, what's the word I'm looking for? They had a really generous free tier, and they kind of neutered it recently, so I'm not sure I really want to stick with Fauna, to be entirely honest, even though I just saw they liked the tweet I put out about this, so we'll see. Anyway, so we're going to basically update all the database, the backend stuff, to be able to store the necessary data we need, and this is kind of an idea what the object's going to look like. So the user ID is going to be the Discord user ID. That's going to be kind of the, for lack of a better term, primary key in which we want to reference this thing as. And then the data is just going to be a JSON document, which is totally fine for what we need it for. The other thing I'm hoping to have is when the profile loads, I want to pull in the current XP for the user instead of using some fake values. I also want to see if I can pull in the current roles, as well as list out the available roles that we have where users can manually assign themselves to. So like one example is if someone wants to sign up for whenever we're active in the voice chat, which I plan to do once a week from now on, every Tuesdays, you know, we can set up a role where we can actually send out a notification to people who have subscribed themselves to that role, and then only those people get notifications. It kind of cuts down on, you know, everybody in the entire server getting notifications. I also want to move the access token to session storage instead of local storage, so this way, basically every time the session's killed in Chrome, they just have to relog in. Like that's totally sufficient for me. And then on the site, when the site builds, I want to pull in all the public profiles and build those onto profile cards. And I kind of have something like that already, and that's in this profiles page. I've got myself and another gentleman who's in our server, who's got his profile public, but he edited it. This is just referencing a JSON document inside of the repository. I'd like to make this not necessarily dynamic. Like when the site builds, it's sufficient for to get those cards then. But I want them to pull from the database as opposed to being pulled from, you know, a local JSON file. Okay, so let's fix this first issue that we just ran into where we're not able to sign in properly. Let's see here. So basically, my Netlify function, I think, returned a 500, or returned a 401 unauthorized, which in turn returned a 500 from the actual function. So I have to find out what that is. If we go to me, I think there's actually a function called me. Yeah, here we go. So let's just, I guess, add some better handling to this. So we're going to try catch this. So I'm going to move this up into here. So this is the response from when the person actually logs in. So if it's a 200, then we're fine. If there is an error, we'll say if error.status equals 401. Actually, not. I guess we're going to log that out. Let's use a console.log out the error, and I'm going to refresh. I'm going to save this. This is going to reload our environment, and then let's try and sign in one more time and see what happens. Refresh this. We should get some kind of error message here. So it looks like error dot. Let me look at what the top level object is. All right, so it looks like it might just be on the top. Let's do, I think, error.data.status code. Data, no, that's message. I'm trying to find the status. Status should be 401 somewhere in here. Response.status. So if I do error.response.status, let's save that and let's try and refresh this page one more time. I want to make sure I'm at least getting the right data here. Okay, here we go. There's the 401. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So if error.status equals 401, throw an if block around this. We want to, the response is going to equal status code 401. We just want to basically forward that same error status along. Let's see, else. And then we'll return 500 here if it's a problem. Response equals status code. We'll set this just 500. But I think I also want to log this out. So we'll do console.log, and then we'll just log out the error for the time being. At least we can see this. Actually, we'll change this to error. At least we can see this output inside of the function itself, inside of Netlify. All right, let's save this and see what happens now. So our environment reloaded. I'm going to refresh this page, and if I go to the network tab, let's just put in me here so we can filter that down. No, it doesn't like that, apparently. There we go, /me. Yeah, see, the rest of these, I was getting some CORS errors, and finally I got a 401, which is what we're having a problem with. So now let's go into the front end code, and I'm going to go to, let's see, we can minimize this. I don't need this up yet. Let's go into source, let's go to pages, go to me. So the first thing we're doing is we're hitting this localhost 8888. We're going to swap this out with an environment variable as well. Although I might have to look into Gridsome handles environment variables a little bit differently. So we might have to find out what's going on there. I don't think we're going to move the local storage quite yet. We'll leave it in local storage so a person doesn't have to sign in. If they get the 401, then they'll have to go back. So since we're using Axios on the front end too, I can basically implement the same code. We'll try and get the response, otherwise else, or catch, I guess. If error.response.status code, status or status code? Let's look at this function. Error response.status. And that's going to equal 401. Then we're going to set window.location equals process.env. There's a special way I think I have to do the Gridsome stuff. Let's look up Gridsome environment variables. So Gridsome is the front end static site generator that I'm using. Yeah, it has to start with Gridsome. I think we can use .env files. If you want to use different environment variables for your local. All right, so we can do env.development. The default will be loaded for the default env will only be loaded if no .env file exists for the current environment. So we'll have to split this up when we go into production, but we'll just leave with the .env for now. But we can pull this guy here because this is what we're interested in. Let's head back into the code here, paste that. So we'll do API URL. Yeah, actually, that's a totally sufficient name. So now if I do, I'm going to set this to that localhost like this. And let's fix this. Do some string interpolation here. Process.env grid. Hold on. Bounce back and forth. Let's set that guy like that. I'll quote this guy so it looks a little bit nicer. And gridsum API URL is the endpoint we're looking at, and we'll set this to me. So this is going to basically take this value here, so this localhost 8888, and then it's going to replace it in here, so it's still going to hit the same URL. But we also have to put in gridsum, we'll do login URL. And this is going to be set to, I got to sign into Discord here. Discord applications, OAuth 2. Let's see, what would our guy be? So we're going to use localhost 8080 auth code, and we want to get the identity, and this is going to be our URL that we could use to sign in. Back in here. So that's our login URL. Let's set window.location to process.env.gridsum login URL. All right, let's save this. And this should actually, you know what? Anytime, I don't know that this is 100% true for gridsum, but I know in most packages, or I guess frameworks you use, anytime you modify the environment variables, you just have to rebuild the entire thing. So I just canceled it and I'm loading it back up. One sec. Okay, so that's finished loading back up. Let's refresh this and we should get redirected to our login page, which we do. Cool. So I'm going to authorize this. And now I don't think I'm going to be dealing with my token directly, so I think I can log in as myself now. What did we do here? Request failed with status code 400. What failed with status code 400? There's a bad request to something. Okay, our function itself errored out. Invalid redirect URI. So, why is the question? I mean, I copied that straight from... Is that code? Might have to make a modification of that code as well. Let's go into the functions and look at this code thing again. Discord redirect. Oh, okay, so I have. Let's get rid of this just to start. We're gonna eventually have to fix this. I'll have to figure out a better way to handle this when I'm developing locally. But we'll set this to https://localhost. Actually, I'm just gonna grab it from whatever I had here. Charles says, "You still using Brian training user?" No, this is my account now. The learning, I think it's learning _ Brian dev. That was used basically last week because I didn't want to leak out my own token for logging in, because it expires after, I don't know, a day or something like that. But I still didn't want to have to worry about somebody getting in there as me for whatever reason. Okay, so let's back up. Let's go fullstack.chat /me. Got my sign in, authorize, and okay. I got something for sure, but I'm not getting anything else beyond that. So I'm going to see if there's any errors here. So me seemed to respond fine. And I'm going to check something real quick. I don't know if anything's going to come off on screen, like the access code or anything. Doesn't seem to. Okay, we can come back. Alright, yeah, it's fine. This is the request, and I got the data, but it's not parsing it correctly, so I'm not sure what's going on with this page. I got to fix something up on this page. Let's close. We don't need that now. Do I have any console logs in here? Console.log. I don't want to log this entire thing anymore. We fixed this. This was some debug code that we were dealing with last week. All right, take it easy, Charles. We'll see you in a little bit. All right, so I have to look at this me page and find out what's going on here. So response. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I could just put this guy in here. We'll save that and refresh, and boom, there we go. All right, I'm back in business. Okay, so that fixed the one outstanding bug that we had. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to build out the fauna setup, so this way we can actually save this information. And we're probably also going to create another function to update the Netlify profiles. All right, so here's fauna. I already created a collection called profiles. Let me zoom in here a little bit so we got some more space. So basically the data structure that I'm going for is going to be, I'm using a key value kind of setup here. So the key is going to be the user ID, which is going to be the Discord user ID. If I look at my data itself, you can see here's my ID, this 385, etc. long number. So that's going to be the ID that we're going to use. Let's create a new document. Actually, I lied. What can we do here? I'm thinking maybe let's start adding some of our fields that we know we want inside of here. So I'm gonna go back into this code here, the front end code. Let's modify some of this stuff here. So I'm gonna fix the styling probably at some point in the future, but we can do div class equals field header. And we're going to set the field header to public, and then let's set this to an input, and we'll set the name to is public. I guess we got to set type equals check. Is that right? I don't know if that's right. No, it didn't like that. Checkbox. HTML checkbox. I always forget. Input type equals checkbox. Okay. ID, name, value. I think we can just leave it with the default, whatever true is. I think it'll come back true. Checkbox. Checkbox. Let's save that. Go back into our code here. And this guy here, yeah, that looks fine. Say make profile public. I'd eventually probably like to switch this into like a toggle button that goes back and forth. Well, that's a future thing, I'm thinking. Join date we're gonna get rid of. I'm not really interested in the join date right now, but I do want to see the current XP and the level. So I actually can update. Well, maybe. I might have to do some more secret work in order to get this thing rolling. But anyway, let's go to me. I'm going to go back into the me function, and I'm actually going to install node modules. Do I have my... I don't have my fauna adapter that I built in here, so let's install that now. I'm going to close that, and I know the bot has it, so probably need to change the path for this. But yeah, at Brian mmdev fauna service is what we're interested in. That's actually an adapter that I wrote for fauna that helps simplify querying things. npm install. Completely free. If you go on npm and just put in that at Brian mmdev / fauna service. Service is probably a bad name for it. It's more of like an adapter. Okay, so that's installed now. So I'm going to go into me. No, I'm going to the me function. Codes should be done. That I can go away. That can go away. That can go away. Just cleaning up the workspace here a little bit. All right. So inside of the function itself, we're going to say like if. Okay, so this will only run if we have passed, right, inside of here. So we're assuming at this point that we got a 200 status. So what we need to do is we need to fetch XP data. And we also need to fetch user profile data. And then we'll append all of this into the body that's returned, okay? So let's see here. Let's do equals new fauna service. I need to import that as well. Const fauna service equals require at random into fauna service equals new fauna service. I think I gotta pass in, yeah, I gotta get the secrets. So I am going to go to secrets here in a moment. So I'm logging into Netlify. I'm gonna go to fullstack.chat. I'm going to go to site settings, and let me switch to secrets real quick, just to make sure that nothing gets leaked out. Build and deploy. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't do this because it did. It just shows them all in plain text up in Fauna, so, or up in Netlify. So bear with me for 1 second while I just put in my whatever secret information I have. Security ID. Let's just create a new key. Oh, I'm in the test database. Now we're going to move over to the main database. Okay, I guess I do still have to create that new profiles deal here. Alright, so key name, say Netlify functions. Oh, wait a second. I think I created that wrong. Yeah, no, I don't want. So there are two different types of secrets you can create in Fauna. There is the admin, which lets you have full read-write everything access, or there's the server, which I think only lets you access the data itself, which is what I'm more interested in. I'd rather do all the schema operations manually in the web UI. So we'll do Netlify functions. I'm just going to name this key again. Apologize, you can't really see what I'm doing here, just because I don't want this stuff leaking out. But all right, let's save this. So my environment variable is now fauna underscore secret. And let's go back into collections. Okay. All right, I can come back here. Okay, so inside of here, I can do process.env.fauna underscore secret. I think it's really cool that Netlify Dev pulls down the actual environment variables from their system, so you don't have to manage them locally, but it does create a little bit of a weird something on my can. It does create a little bit of I don't know. It makes you get out of your editor, so there's some resistance there, I guess, for setting some of this stuff up. So let's data. Let's see, XP data. Fauna service dot get record by index, I think is the right one that I set up here. Query index name value. Fetch records in index is the one I'm looking at. Fetch records in index, and I got to create an index for this. So let's create a new. Oh no, I'm like, this is the XP stuff. So let me look at my indexes. IDX by key is what I'm interested in. So IDX by key is the name of the index, and then I'm just going to console.log this out. XP data. And this is actually an asynchronous function, so we got to await this. And that's going to fetch that data for us. And I'm going to save this, and we're going to build it and run it and see what happens. Oh, that was an install. Let's try and run it again. Okay, so we are up and running. Let's go ahead and, whoop, not there. Let's go into fullstack.chat. And we refreshed, so it pulled the information down. Let's look at console log. Oh, it didn't pull anything. That's interesting. Records in index. Is there a fetch records in collection? I forgot that, because I really want to just get... Unless get record by index. I think this might actually be the one I want to pass in, and then I want to use XP data or something like that. Let's try and fix this again. Duplicate this, and we'll say get records in, no. Get record by index. Let's pass in FSC or IDX by key. And let's pass in also XP data. Is it underscore or not? So I'm looking at the data itself. And if I look at FSC bot data, the key is all underscore XP data. And then document is what I have as the name of the, I guess, the JSON object that stores everybody's XP in it. That's going to be fixed too, by the way. I'm eventually going to move all the XP stuff into the profile information, so it's going to stop me from having to pull all this stuff down. All right, save that again. So I get reloaded the function. Let's refresh this page and see what happens. Okay, something went wrong. XP data has already been declared. Oh, that's a dumb issue on my part. Okay, so I got the data. So what we need to do then, instead, is I need to do... See, it's all a big key value store, so I can do, I think, just XP console.log XP data, and let's use a square bracket notation, and I'm going to pass in res.data.id, I think is what it is. So this should return just the object for myself. All right, so I save that and refresh it. Let's refresh the page, look at the logs, all the way down to the bottom, and I get undefined. So I did something, xp.doc. I think I got to do xpdata.document. Let's try that. Okay, so here is my XP data. Cool. So that's good. So we'll do, I'm actually just going to pass, I'm going to use res. We're going to start creating a user object. So user object, user data equals res.data. So we're going to basically create a new object with the data that we received back from Discord's side of things. And we'll do user data dot xp data equals xpdata.document / that. So that should actually now start returning inside of our response body. So now if I refresh this and I look at the response that comes from my function, that's jQuery. That's the wrong one. So I've got all the same information, plus I have all the XP stuff too. Cool. So that's good. We can actually show the multiplier, which would be pretty interesting as well. All right, so the XP data is being pulled down. Let's go ahead and update the front end to be able to display that information. Okay, so user info. It's all in. Everything is in user info, which is pretty nice. Current XP. We can do user info dot XP data. What is that? Current XP. Yeah. Dot current XP. Save that, and this is actually my current XP. So cool. That's right. Level's actually just a calculation. I probably need to abstract this out into its own library because I do have some kind of utility functions inside of the bot that calculates out the level. Like it's all based on XP, but there is a function that does it. So this probably could be pulled into a library. So bot, we got source, plugins, XP service. Let's see, level. Get level for user ID. Get level by XP is the function I'm interested in. So this actually contains everything that I need to calculate out the XP. So we're just going to pass this in here, and we'll do not mounted. We want to create that mounted. Okay, so we want to create methods, and we'll say calculate level. Actually, I could just paste this in here. Or apparently not, because I think I copied something else by mistake. Let's copy this, go into here. So what I'm doing here is the methods object inside of a view component contains methods, basically methods that can be used by other methods, or they can actually be used up inside here. So what I can do is, because I have a get level by XP, inside of here, I can say get level by XP, and then pass in my user info. Actually, I don't think I need to, because that should be there. That should be inside of the user info, so I can get rid of my parameter here. And I can say const xp equals this.userinfo.xpdata.currentXP. There's probably going to have to be some fixing I got to do around this. Yeah, I didn't like something about that. What didn't you like? Oh, it didn't complain at all. Console level up const is not defined. Oh yeah, I forgot that. That's something I have defined up top here. Okay, so we'll head back in here, and I'm just going to paste this inside of the function too. Again, for simplicity, I probably will come back and refactor this code at some point. So yeah, so you can see I'm at level 45, and if I go into the Discord server, does that work? I think it does. So let's open Discord, and I'm going to go to my server, and there we go, level 45 with 13,169 XP. And that's not what I'm interested in. Let's go back to, let's get out of Discord now. We don't need to be there. And yeah, so that's fine. So we got the username is correct. Now, see, username and nickname are different, which I'm not entirely certain how I'm going to handle that yet. I probably am going to need to create an API specifically around the server itself, so this way I can pull that information. Like I can reference from the server. I could probably use the bot's credentials in order to get information from the server, but I'm not going to do that quite yet. I want to update this so we can save this. So I can save this information, specifically the make profile public. So we'll check that. But actually, let's create another couple fields too. We'll put some social information in here too. So I have HR roles here. I'm gonna, yeah, that can be on the still in the footer. I'm gonna copy this whole chunk here. So we'll say me social. And we can do inputs. Let's see, input notification roles. And I'll eventually make it so this way there is two, basically, there's going to be a bunch of different things in here they can populate, but only the first three are going to be used to create these kinds of cards, right? So, and then depending on what is populated, the icons are going to swap out dynamically. And then, I mean, maybe we'll set it up so they can manually set which ones they want to show on their public card, right? But I eventually also want to do it so when you click on one of these, it actually shows a full page with all the information the users put in there. So under social info, the main ones I'm interested in are Twitter, for sure. And we could say this is for Twitter, and this will be Twitter. And I think 2 for now. We'll do website too. Website actually should be before Twitter. Website can be last. Why not? And this is, instead of being a checkbox, this is going to be input type of text. I can get rid of all these, and let's duplicate these lines instead. Save myself some typing. Put some new lines there just to make the code look a little bit nicer. Twitter, we'll put GitHub is another popular one among devs, as I'm sure everybody knows. And it's going to be GitHub and GitHub. And then last one, we'll do website. Save this and see what it looks like. Nasty as hell. Cool. Actually, no, we're probably going to do, I'm going to retype all of this, but I'm going to use this field header, these classes I have here, just to keep things, just so I don't have to do a whole lot of CSS work quite yet. This is going to be iterated over probably a number of times over the coming weeks, just to make it look a little cleaner and nicer. In fact, Diamond in the Discord, he's got a new, he's got a whole new theme we're working on too, which is going to be really cool. I'm excited to see that come come out. Field value, this is going to be, I think I can just break this down here, and then we're going to bring the Twitter input up in here. And then let's do the same thing we just did earlier. Bring that guy down, and then I can copy and paste these different fields up into my custom divs that I have set up. All right, get rid of all the old stuff here we don't need. And let's update these guys here. So GitHub, and this is going to be website. It's not the cleanest, but it's definitely a little bit better than it was before. Now, if we want to bind these inputs to the actual data itself, we could set X model, no, B model. I don't know where the hell X came from. And instead of user info, what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to use a different object for this, and the only reason being is because I want people to edit it, and then we'll rebuild the user object, the request based off of those different fields. So we'll say Twitter field. It's going to be empty. Actually, we can make that. Yeah, I'll make that empty. And then we'll do GitHub field. Make that empty. And then we'll website fields, the last one. And that'll be empty. You know what? Actually, I lied. Social info. Form info I like, because the reason I'm gonna use form info is because I can use form info dot like Twitter here, and if it's blank, I mean, if there's something there, cool. If not, it should still render out just fine. And then when we're done, like I said, when we build the request that goes back to our API to save this information, yeah, we'll use these instead of the actual user info. Save that, and okay, we're bound. And now if I have view DevTools? Yeah, I do. Now I can use the view DevTools to actually see what this data looks like. So not app, not layout, not nav. Where? Why am I only seeing the top? Oh, you know what? I wonder if it's not showing this to me because it's grid sum. Technically, this is statically generated. I totally didn't think about that. That's okay. All right, so what I can do now is I can say, let's modify that save button so we can actually see what the data looks like. We'll just console.log out. Let's go back into code here, and let's create another method here. I'm gonna say async. I'm gonna say save. Just save, I guess, is fine. Async function. And we're going to console.log out this .form info just to see what that object looks like. Save that. Actually, you know what else I'm going to do is I'm going to put the event in here as something that can be passed in. And we can do @click equals save, which is the function we're going to use. And I got to do event.prevent default, which is going to stop the page from manually refreshing. So I can do ADSF. Let's see. Actually, I'll put my real info in here. How about Brian mmdev, B Morrison dev, and Brian at Brian. I'm sorry. HTTPS://brianmorrison.me is my website, and let's save this. And console.log. There we go. There's our 3 fields in there we're interested in. So we got our social info. Little bug flying around my area. All right, cool. So we got social. We got the fields put in here. Now let's create the function that lets us post back. I'm going to create another. Ideally, I'd like the same endpoint to be able to handle the same like me path to be able to handle everything, but we're just going to create a new class here, I guess. Let's see. Let's rename this to update profile. And we're going to pass in the same token's going to come over. So actually, that header's token is going to be that. So we're basically always going to hit Discord to make sure that the request or there is legit a spider coming down right here. was weird. Guys, the benefits of streaming in a basement, you get all the little bugs and things that come along with it. Okay, so that's going to handle our options, like, so we can handle cores using that. I probably should pull that out and put that in its own utility function. But let's start putting some of this stuff back in here from me. I'm going to copy this over here. That's going to go like that. Options, yeah, so that's going to request, and we want to await axios dot options, and we're actually going to pull the user's info out of here again, just to make sure that, like, we don't, I want to make sure that, okay, so the reason I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to use the user ID from here as opposed to using something that's submitted in the form, is because by submitting that token into Discord, it's going to respond back with the user's info, right? And with that user info is a user ID, so I can be pretty confident that the token that I'm sending in from the front end is tied to the user who's making the request, and therefore I can use that to update the record as opposed to relying on the front end to be sending that information in. It's more or less a more secure way to do it. Okay, so let res equals. So there's that. So we'll say let user ID equals res.data.id, which is going to be the user's profile. And let's see, what else can we do here? Now we need to start building out that profile collection in here. So I'm going to create a new profile in Fauna. Let's call this profiles. And save. And I think we have to pass... We're not going to need to request the document first because it's going to pass in... we got to check to see if, I guess, the user's info exists first to update that record. So let current record equals... I'm going to need to do that whole fauna thing again like we did here. So we'll come in here. We got the new fauna service. We're not worried about the rest of that stuff, because we're not updating anything inside the XP info. So fauna service, and there's my secret that's being passed in. Current record equals fauna service dot get record by index. So we're going to use the index name profiles by user ID, and then we'll pass in the user ID. And let's just see what this does, I guess. We'll try and submit that, make that post request, and just console, and then log out the results. So if I do, let's see, console.log current record. Okay, so update profile is in here now. We don't care really about the method at this point, although I'll probably end up consolidating this all into the me profile. Let's create our index here. Indexes are, I don't know if they're required by Fauna, but they certainly make it easier to query your data. So we'll say index profiles by user ID. Terms, I forgot how this works. I'm going to open indexes in another thing here, and I'm going to look at this guy. So the terms we're interested in is data.key, and what we're returning is the key in the document. So we'll also do, we'll put key here. Oh, not key u. No, I guess user ID. And then we'll say data.document is what we, no, we're not interested in that. We want to return that though. So data.user ID, and we also want to return data.document, which is going to be that JSON object that we're using with all our, that contains all of our user information here. Okay, so I don't think we need data in there. Yeah, we just do like that. It'll make it. Okay, cool. I think this is the index we need. So let's go ahead and save that. This is going to let us pull back just an individual record. So I think it's going to pull back, null. Or pull back undefined, one of the two. We're going to find out here in a moment here. All right, so inside here, we want to pass in profiles by user ID, and then we're using the user ID as our primary lookup here. Okay, so back inside of our view code, under save, instead of just logging out the information, let's we need to fetch the token. So const token. I got the token here, but I'm actually going to move the token up into the data itself. make it an empty string for now, and then we'll do this dot token. So what's going to do is it's going to pop the token up into the main data that we have access to. I got to change this to this dot token. So what I can do then is I can say let ops equals URL is going to be this guy here again. We're actually going to make this a post. Actually, I guess we could make this a put. Put's probably more appropriate because we can do an upsert, which is essentially what we're doing. And then we'll do headers. We'll bring this stuff down here too. And instead of being that, this is going to be update profile. So there are Axios options. So we'll await Axios. I'm not really interested yet. I guess we'll probably, I might make this like a Boolean return. So this way, if it does update successfully, I can just display a little message that says, hey, it updated successfully. Okay, so that is there. Let's try it out. Inside here, let's just do Brian mmdev, B Morrison dev. And this will also be Brian Morrison.me. Clear out these error messages, and we'll save it. And something bomb for sure. Something about the options in update profile. Something else had to go wrong. And I am running short on time already. I always have a tendency of biting off more than I can chew. Update profile is the right one, right? Yeah, update profile. Why am I getting a CORS response, though? I'm going to save that again and let it refresh. Let's click save one more time. Same thing. I'm not logging anything out, so I'm getting a 404 on my functions. I wonder if because I did that update profile, the name of it looks correct. Unless I wonder if it doesn't like the fact that I'm, no, it shouldn't have anything to do with the put. Because we're not finding it at all. And Brian Morrison.me. Let's try this one more time. Same thing, but the question is why? It responded with 200. What's the error I got here now? Access control allow methods in pre-flight. Why did... Oh, okay, because I'm not using Git. Access control allow methods. So CORS, for those who don't know, is a kind of a security feature that is built into modern browsers. Basically, that you can let the server control what source URLs are allowed to hit it. And that's kind of the issue we're running into now. And it looks like if you look at the error message, it says access control allow methods is not there. There's no method put that's allowed right there. So by setting these to star, we're basically allowing it from everything. Now, I'm eventually going to lock this down for the public thing, so it only can come from fullstack.chat. But this is fine for the time being. All right, so refresh this one more time. I probably didn't need to refresh it. Current, cannot read property, current XP of undefined. That's probably a preload error. I need to fix that. mmdev, B Morrison dev, and Brian Morrison.me. And we'll save that. All right, what now? No access control allow origin. I think that's a lie. Access control allow origin. Yeah, that is a lie. Axios is not defined. Okay, so that means it just bombed out. Const Axios equals require Axios. Okay, function should have reloaded. Now let's go ahead and save one more time. Same thing, something broke. Fauna service is not defined. Trying again. Save. What bomb now? Function. I didn't await something. What didn't I await? It was await. Fauna service. Instance not found. Instance not found. Profiles by user ID. Did I name that right? Did I not? Did I save it? Yeah, profiles is empty. Profiles by user ID. This looks like that's spelled right. Okay, so let's try. So I don't like that. I might have to fix my library, but I'm wondering if it's because I can't find it. It's just telling you it didn't return anything. Get record by index ID. Unless I gotta do user ID. Like that. Let me look up in my source, my service right here. Get record index. No? Context data store, fetch, row key. What does that look like? Data store adapter. I've got a fauna data store adapter, I think, configured here. So what is my, I said update record and get record by index ID. And identifier, we're passing in row key. Okay, so no, it should just be that, but I'm guessing it's bombing out because it doesn't exist? That doesn't make any sense. I find it hard to believe that I would have done that. Update profile. Alright, so this should just be user ID. Unless user right, do we know what user ID is? Console.log user ID. Yeah, now we're just debugging this whole operation to save the info into the database. Sometimes I can do it pretty well, and sometimes I kind of derp through it, and today looks like it's more the latter. Okay, so that is the number that we're interested in. It's actually the text. Alright, but it doesn't seem to like that, so I wonder if we gotta try catch it, because it says index or not found, instance not found. Let's actually look up what that means inside of fauna. I had 2 collections that suddenly started returning index not found. Am I in the right? I'm in regular fullstack.chat. Profiles by user ID. I'm going to make this in the test one too, and I want to see what it does. 1218, you got a lot of operations. profiles. Let's create this index here. Profile. What did I name this to? Profiles by user ID. Select the profiles collection. We'll set the term to user ID. And the value is going to be user ID and document. And that's exactly what this should work. Now I'm going to try this one more time. I'm wondering if I have the wrong secret going on here, which would be kind of silly. I mean, no, because I have... Actually, that can't be, because I already tested that I'm getting my XP data back. I guess we can do if current record. Else, let's try this, I guess, now. I'm not even interested in trying my other thing. So if there's no current record, then we're going to have to create the record. So, hey, wait, fauna service dot create create record. Collection name is profiles, and the data itself is the user ID is going to be user ID, so we don't need to change that. But the data document, I guess, is what we're interested in. Document is going to be no. Let's see, event.body. How did I do that over here? I think I have that set up inside of me as well, because we're pulling some stuff from the request body. Okay, so that's just pulling it's the code that has this set up. JSON.parse event body. So inside update profile, let's set up that event body. And document is body dot could do like that. I think should work. So otherwise we're going to await fauna service dot update record, and we'll say that's profiles. Record ID is actually going to be current record dot ID, I think is what it returns to. Let me look at that source code again real quick just to make sure, because I know it does some remapping. Yeah, record ID is what's gonna, the record data is gonna have that ID in it. So that, and then I guess we'll do the same setup we got here. Just gonna copy and paste this down. We can certainly refactor this at some point, but I'll leave that like that, and then we'll see if this works. I don't know if it's gonna work. Function must have a numerical status code, but in either case will return. Let me grab some of the status code from over here. So if we're creating the record, we want to set the response code to 201, and we don't need it to return anything. And then if not, then we'll do 200 for just an OK. So created as 201, update just 200 is fine. And that should get us a response code every single time. OK, let's try this one more time. Something still broke. I didn't send any JSON. That would probably be why. I don't think I sent JSON at least. Alright, so body, data and Axios. We'll do Twitter. Actually, you know what we could just do? Make this easy on ourselves. We'll do the data will be this dot form info. Save, like that. Okay, so Brian Morrison Dev, Brian MM Dev is my Twitter. B Morrison Dev and Brian Morrison.me. Let's go ahead and save again, see what happens. Instance not found, but I also got a 201. Let's look at our data. Collections, profiles, let's refresh this. No documents, interesting. Oh, we're in test, that would be why. I'm gonna close that out. I don't want to deal with test right now. Collections, profiles. Hey, we got some info. Here we go. Okay, so here's everything. Here's the ID. There's my record ID. There's the timestamp, and then here's all the data that we passed in. Cool. So we're golden. On saving at least, let's figure out what we need to do to load this up. So back inside of me, which is where that information is pulled down, we need to fetch the profile data. So let profile equals await fauna service dot get record by index. We'll do profile. What's that? Profiles by. I probably need to move these on to like some kind of common library so I can see, or so I don't have to keep typing the same text over and over again. And what's our value? Our value is res.data.id, which is that user's ID. So we'll say if profile, then we will set user data.profile is equal to profile. Document, I guess, which is going to be the actual data that's coming through. So I'm going to save this, and let's refresh this guy here. And let's see what we got here. Current XP, let's look at the network traffic, go to me. Okay, here's my profile info, so now I can parse this information in. So yeah, profile info is getting pulled back from the database, and our update profile is working properly. That's cool. That's good, 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 good. Okay, so then on mounted, which is when some of this code executes. Let's do, let's see here. What can we do? What do we need to do? User info is response.data. We also want to map this into the forms too. So the user info is fine, but we also want to say this.form info equals Twitter is going to be response.data.profile.twitter. I guess we also need to check to see if they have the profile. If response.data.profile, then we'll do all this stuff. Because if there is no profile yet, I'm going to leave those fields blank. Otherwise, this is going to totally bomb out. This.form info equals Twitter. GitHub is going to be same thing. We'll pull that down, and I can duplicate that again for the website. GitHub, save that. Boom, there we go. Now this is populating dynamically. If I refresh that. Took a little while to load, but yeah. All right, cool. So I got all the CRUD stuff working for this. The last thing I think I want to do is log out. Well, maybe that'll be for next time. It's already 1:30. I think I got to get back to work now. So yeah, here is our outstanding tasks that we have so far. So we got all this big chunk of stuff done. So we've got key should be user ID, create an index defined by user ID, create an index to return all. I don't need it to return all records. I can do that from a different query that I have. On profile load, pull current XP, current roles we didn't get to, access token, local storage don't get to. Let's do one more thing. Let's do one more thing. I'm going to try and push this out, because why the hell not? Okay, so our Grissom API URL is not going to be that. It's going to be https://fullstack.chat netlify functions. This might not work, and this, if it doesn't, it's probably not that big of a deal. But if it does, that means people can start logging in, which is going to be pretty cool. Fullstack.chat auth. Hold on a second. Fullstack.chat.netlify functions code like that. Wait, no, that's a redirect URI. It should be auth code, I think, right? Yeah, localhost 8080. OAuth handlers no more. I don't care about that. So we could change this to full stack chat auth code. Let's copy this and put this back in here. I should get my different environment variables set up. And then the other thing we also kind of tweaked was in that code function. We're going to get rid of this silly code that I have here. We're going to use the redirect URI. So we'll save that. yeah, I kind of think we're ready to push this thing up into the public, and hopefully I don't tank my entire website. All right, cancel that. I just canceled the running build, or running dev tools, whatever you want to call it. And let's try and deploy this thing out. Let's see what happens. I think npm run deploy is what I got. I'm going to minimize that because I don't know what it's going to show on screen. I have no idea. And while that's doing, I guess I can update this guy. So sites, we implemented profile CRUD. Sync that up to GitHub. Something broke. Build command failed. npm run build. Okay. See core package.json. Yeah, because we're not building from there. This Netlify dev, if you don't run it, I don't know what's going on with it. Something's a little funky on my end with this Netlify dev. Okay. I'm just gonna try Netlify build. It's like, for whatever reason, it doesn't like the fact that it's in a child folder. And this, I've had this issue a number of times so far. See core functions. Yeah, see, like, it's looking all this stuff. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. Let me update that toml file. I think it's called. Site dist. And we'll change this to site functions, and we'll change this again to site diff. Base, I guess I gotta change this to site 2 because I'm using a monorepo approach for this whole deal. Okay, there we go. That's better. So now let's try npm run deploy. So next thing I have to do, which will be pretty easy, is I'm going to set up a Github Actions for this thing, so this way when it's pushed up and tagged properly, it should deploy automatically using Github Actions. Something still broke. Could not generate HTML from me, cannot read property XP of undefined. Oh, that's, yeah, the whole... I forgot there's some weird things back and forth about the whole dynamic nature of this. Where is XP? Let's do VF. Actually, we could just do userinfo.xp, I guess. Like that. And then I can do on the load. This, I'm kind of cheating here. This.userinfo.xp equals response.data. I guess this.userinfo. Let's try this again. I'm just going to do gridsum build. See what this does. Gridsum build. Hey, you're going to go XP. Why? Nice. Nice. Good old joke there. Okay, so what's going on here, and I'm gonna have to cut it because what I might end up doing is I might turn this portion of the app of the website into its own dedicated view app, kind of like a back-end view app. The reason it's complaining is because with gridsum being a static site generator, what's going on is it's trying to fetch and do all this funky stuff with the data, like while it's building the website. However, oh wait, I think there might just be something I can do. Gridsum page dynamic. I think there's a way to get around it. I also have a dynamic page in gridsum. I've run into this before for something, and it's got something to do with the fact that, like, gridsum leave page dynamic. since GridSum is a static site generator, what it basically does is when you build it, it tries to pull all this data in and then create just static HTML pages, right? But because we're creating something that's more of like it's a dynamic page, really. It's fetching profile information every time the page loads. What's going on is it's having trouble figuring out what to do with that. But I'd really like... There's a way to do this, and I can't for the life of me remember it, but... Alright, I am not going to do anything else with this, I think, for now, because I know there's a simple way to fix this. Global metadata... Maybe. I say that, and I'm keep looking through stuff, and it's like, man, I really would like to figure out how the hell to do this. I like succeeding on stream. I don't like leaving things kind of lying around, but I don't know. I think I'm pretty much out of time. Okay, yeah, we'll get to this later. So anyway, yeah, what we've gotten so far is we've got the profile page set up, we've got loading and saving all done. I'm probably going to do some work on this over the course of the next week, just cleaning up styles and then getting the build working. So I'll report back on that. And then, yeah, the last thing I think we're going to do is get this role stuff working. So this way, when a page loads, it also pulls in the roles that a person's a part of already, a user's a part of already, and then they'll be able to enable and disable certain roles. And then when they save that, the backend system is going to automatically like update their roles within the server so they can set themselves up for certain notifications. But that's going to be it for me today. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I really do appreciate it. If you want to chat with me directly, fullstack.chat is actually the community that I'm working on stream, so feel free to put that in your web browser and join up. I'm live. I'm pretty much committing to every Thursdays. I'm back and forth between 12 and 12:30. I might start trying to go for 12, but there might be some scheduling issues there. I'm not sure yet. In fact, yeah, let's go for 12 next week. Let's see, what else? Brian Dev is my handle on Twitter. You can follow me there. That's a great way to get updates about the stream. Like if I have scheduling conflicts and I need to push things out, that's the first place to check. But yeah, with that, I'm all done. So I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.